All
What's
right,
that?
everybody, and for the sake of time, we'll get started here today. I've been given the privilege of looking after the meeting here today. Peter's saving his voice. So the topic for today is, what's your number one priority? What's one thing that would change everything for you? And just before we get started, for those that are watching the, the preview or watching the video again, what we're going to do is have these great people that have taken their time at no cost, that they'll explain what they do, and you can reach out to them, talk to them, because you don't know who they know, and they could be the one that holds the key to your success. You never know that. The neat thing is, we all know people that other people don't. So reach out and talk to them. There's no cost. Their contact information will be in the chat, and reach out. And Kristine, you were the first in there this morning, followed by
Yep.
Donna. So get you to start out.
So introduce myself.
Yep.
Yep. Hi, everyone. I'm Kristine Best. My business name is Welltality, and I'm a um, wellness strategist. I'm also a singer-songwriter using my songs to reinforce messages that I have in my wellness presentations. So, yeah, you know how there are a lot of people who these days are struggling with their energy and their concentration. They're probably stressed and overworked. And that's not good for the work situation or the home situation. So what I do is I help these people heal and re-energize. And that's through my services as a mindset, nutrition, and uh, procedures and strategies coach. And that means that these people can then become more effective at contributing to their family, to themselves, and to their workplace. So have a conversation with me and let's see what's possible for you.
Thanks, Kristine. I guess, one of the things that I get from what you say is, when you're healthy, you can have 10,000 problems. And then when you're unhealthy, you only have one problem, your health.
Yeah, that's
And,
exactly right. Yeah.
so good for you for helping people get better. Donna, I know that you're laying there in a hospital, and help,
Yep, so
share
I
with us what.
to learn all about everybody. So my name's Donna Burton, better known as Donna the Astronomer. I live 6 hours northwest of Sydney in a little town called Sooner Barbara, and I'm an actual research astronomer. And I'm not an astrologer, but the number one question I get asked is, can I do a reading? And I make some sort of smart aleck comment that I wish I could, because I'd make a lot more money, because there's more money made. But I'm into educating people about the night sky, um, showing kids and people who come out to the dark sky the stars, because a lot of people in the world haven't seen the dark sky, and I'm working to try and spread the concept of dark sky tourism from outside of Australia and New Zealand right across the world as a really viable option for people. And my goal is to save the night sky one light at a time.
Yes. Thanks, Donna. Alan, followed by Tina.
Hi, John. Hi, everybody. I'm Alan Edwards. I'm a property investor and developer based in Hampshire in the UK. We transform the value of property by taking low value commercial buildings that are unused or underused, for example, an empty office building or an empty shop building with upper parts, and we convert those into residential properties. So it helps to solve the housing crisis in the UK, which is massive, and also it is a good use of assets, because what's the point in having a loss-making building sitting there costing someone, for example, £10,000 a year to sit empty, when it can be repurposed and used, and it's using the existing envelope of the building. So we do work beyond the UK borders, and there was just talk about clear skies from Donna, and I have property in Slovenia, and I've had a business there for a few years. And if you ever go to Slovenia, it's got the most clear skies you can imagine. I had a holiday home up on top of a mountain in Slovenia, and the nights are really dark and the stars are really bright. So, if you wanted a destination in Europe to, find real opportunities to see the skies and also experience clean water as well and nature at its best, then Slovenia is probably a good place. And I promised to post a picture of a castle that we're getting involved in Slovenia, converting a restaurant there into a theme restaurant to attract more customers. Anyway, that's me. I'll put my details in the chat. Thank you.
Alan, just for all of the rest of us that have no idea where Slovenia is, whereabouts is it?
Right, it's just on the borders of Austria and Italy and Croatia. So it's at the top of the Balkans, and it's just south of Switzerland and Germany. So it's in what is called the Julian Alps, which are not the main Alps shared by France and Italy, but a smaller version of Alps. But they're still very picturesque, and a lot of people like walking and cycling there. And it's becoming a more well-known tourist destination.
Excellent. Thanks for sharing that, Alan. Tina?
Okay.
So I'm a divorce professional, certified as a divorce coach, restorative family mediator, and conflictual co-parenting coach. And my job is to help men and women come out of very difficult relationships where abuse is in the background. My job is to help you deal with the emotional aspect of that, helping you cope so that the stress and anxiety is put into peace and understanding. This way you can make better decisions. I work alongside with your attorney, keeping the cost of your divorce down, saving you thousands of dollars and speeding up the process. My name's Tina Huggins. Thank you.
Thanks, Tina. Vangelis?
Hello, everyone. I'm Vangelis, and what I do is I help companies integrate artificial intelligence into their company business, their activities to help them improve their key performance indicators. A lot of times people are not really aware of what artificial intelligence is, so I help them define it, demystify it, and help them to be able to, instead of removing people or getting rid of people, but help the people become more efficient and effective in what they're doing in their daily jobs. Thanks.
Now that's interesting, especially the part of helping them avoid getting rid of people, because there's so many companies you hear about that are getting rid of everybody because AI is going to be the cat's meow and replace everybody. I think that is going to be a fallacy that's going to come back to haunt a lot of businesses, when they lose that personal touch. What's your views on that?
Well, I think it's just perspective. I had a meeting yesterday with a group of coaches, and I was just saying, before the printing press in 1450, there were only a select group of people that were learned at the time. And then once the printing press came, well, then a lot of people had the decision to get learned. And then there's the library where people were getting books, and all AI is now in that respect is just the ability to get information faster. I mean, my teacher said, don't copy the Britannica or encyclopedias. Well, you don't copy everything you get from AI. It's very similar. It's just a perspective. And then people will say, well, they force you to do things. I said, well, when I was in the movie theater, there was popcorn and Coke frames coming every, second subliminally. So it's not really much different. It's just faster. And so I think when people get a perspective, most of us here have been through a lot of different eras of things happening. And this is just another thing. It's not really that much different. So I think if people really put it in perspective, to remove the fear and disarm the fear about it, it will be just like any other things that came along. Yeah.
That's an interesting perspective on it. And there are a lot of people that are very scared of AI, that it's going to replace us. When you were talking, I was just thinking for the older folks there, when we were changing from the 1999 to 2000, that all the bank accounts were going to end and the world was going to end and everything else. Midnight came and went, nothing changed. So,
Well, think about Henry Ford when they started the automotive, automation part of it. People thought, oh my gosh, we're going to lose our jobs. No, new ones came up. It's everything that happens in every epoch. It's the same thing. It's change. It's the unknown, and people got new jobs and new positions. And when gosh, this is going to, no, it's just the next epoch of things. It's then people get new ideas about new things, and it's just because we're in such a reptilian, we pay attention to things that threaten us more than other things. And so that's why we have a tendency to focus on that. And, think about it. It's case in point, when in the days where you had to watch out for your well-being because there was a tiger or a coyote or whatever. Well, that's why we're more prone to look for things that threaten us rather than, you don't hear the news, so-and-so got an award for being teacher of the year. That doesn't really make the news that much because that doesn't threaten us as much. So I think part of it is how we're wired as well.
But also, human beings can think intuitively and, be influenced by just the smallest thing, whereas AI might miss that. So I think we still need people.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the whole point. Absolutely, Kristine. Because I've been reading so many books on, I'm in the process of how do you connect to consciousness? And how many people are even aware of their own consciousness? I mean, let's just start with humans being human and not spend so much time on worrying about robots. Why do we want humans to be robotic, and why are we wanting robots to be human? Let's just get humans to be human. Just to your point, Kristine. I mean, let's just become aware of ourselves first.
We have to be very careful not to lose our humanity, because I can see that happening if people don't implement some strategies to keep human touch, to keep people person to person, in person, not just remotely or virtually. So we're humans. We need touch. We need connection. We need, and I don't mean remote connection. I mean someone who can put their hand on your shoulder, or shake your hand, or give you a hug or a kiss on the cheek. Or humans need that. And people and animals, for example, will die if they don't get it. Like when they're little babies, if the parent doesn't lick them and pay attention, the baby would die, right? And humans will shrivel up and be very unhappy if we don't watch that kind of stuff. So that's another part of wellness that I kind of push, because I can see it happening.
We have a girl about 12 years old in town. She's very good friends with his parents and grandparents. It's a small community I live in. He doesn't have any real world friends, but he has an online counselor, an online mum, an online best friend, and an online girlfriend, all via chat GPT. And they're just creatures he's created. And it just takes that whole imaginary thing one step further. And I don't know, it's frightening to me. Maybe that's because I'm...
Well, there are children who spend a lot of time on those games, and they don't know how to interact with people in the real world. They've lost their interactive skills. Okay.
Well, that's one of the things, if you watch kids today, they'll be sitting across the table from each other, beside each other, and they're on the phone and they're texting. They don't know
Yep.
how to carry on a conversation. And
Yep.
that part's getting scary in
It
this
is.
world because,
Yep.
they don't know how to interact with people.
Yep. That's going to affect relationships, marriages, and all sorts of stuff.
These are the kids we're going to be employing in a few years' time.
Yep.
Interesting. My name's John D. Allen Small Business Coaching. What I do is I help people learn how to ask better questions so you get better answers. We all know that there's certain industries that everybody in that industry sounds exactly the same. And when that happens, the only thing that your prospects have to compare you on is price. And we all know that if you're playing with price, you could be beat by the big guys any day. So what I suggest to people is be the Gucci store, learn to compete on value. No, don't be Walmart scratching with the chickens. Walmart's big deal was buy things cheaper, right? The one thing that I talk about is the people that shop at the Gucci store. Can they shop at Walmart? Sure they can. Can the majority of the people that shop at Walmart, can they shop at the Gucci store? No. Why? Because they don't see the value, or they may see the value, but oh gosh, I can't do that. It's like we've all been saying, when you raise your conscious level that you are worthy of it and you can do things, that's what makes all the difference in the world. When you take a look at people that have gone out and done things, they've come from nothing, they've grown a business and gone to whatever. Vangelis is a great example. He wanted to be a musician. And then, his parents said, no, there's no money in being a musician. So he went on and learned how to be a great person dealing with with businesses and been able to travel all over the world. So there's all kinds of opportunities out there that we could all make use of. So again, learn how to ask better questions so you get better answers. Just before we get into today's topic, which is what is your number one priority and what is the one thing that would change everything? We have some apologies from people that are usually here. Dr. Annika, George Noggle, Tony B, Glenda Kroll, Brian K. McNeil, Gab. These are all great regular people that, unfortunately for whatever reason can't be here today. So what I'd like to do now is, go into today's topic. Again, it's what's your number one priority? What's the one thing that would change everything for you? Who'd like to start? Kristine, you got volunteered. You're the first one in.
Thanks, John.
You're welcome.
The number one priority for me, I guess it's revenue, because I've got these big plans of what I want to do with it. So it's not just for me, it is for a project, a charitable project, because two other businessmen and I have created a charity, and we're currently working with an NGO in Uganda. And we are raising funds to set these people up with an enterprise, just a simple enterprise that will generate income. And that will then raise some profits that we can use to kickstart our sustainability farm, which will grow in stages and will eventually provide infrastructure to the community, like latrines. They don't have latrines in most places there. And it will provide accommodation for widowed women and orphaned children. The widowed women can work looking after the kids or working on the farm or working in the community to help people in the community, because it's a lot of AIDS sufferers, aged people, disabled people. So there are lots of, there's a big need for people working in the community. And so then the farm will provide not only really good food, because their diets are not so good. So that will help supplement their diets, and it will also provide jobs for people. And the profits will build all the infrastructure as well as our medical centre. So we got these plans of how we want to implement this, and we need revenue to be able to do that. So that's what I'm working on.
Okay, so what would be the one thing that would change everything?
The one thing that will change everything is me to approach some more really cool people who need my services and build my business so that I can contribute to this project, and perhaps even put myself out there to meet some philanthropists that could be generous enough to donate some money towards it.
So if I'm understanding you correctly, one of the things you're looking for is to be introduced to some philanthropists that could help out. But the other thing is also to generate some new business so that you can help towards this project. Is that correct?
That's correct. Because I would like to have the funds to be free enough to be able to go over there and help with education of the community, because there are certain education requirements. We need to change people's attitudes, and we need to implement programs for that. And I'd like to be on the ground over there helping with that. The other guy in the group is a productivity coach, and he can help with the productivity of the organisations and the enterprises that we set up. So our charity is called Life: Legacies, Impact, Foundation and Enterprises. So the foundation part of the organisation donates some money to kickstart the enterprise. And then we don't need to give them any more money because they become self-sustainable. And that's where the enterprises come in. And then we go and show them how to run that enterprise successfully. So I'm fairly young in the business that I'm in, because I've re-established it from my business many years ago. Circumstances in life caused that. But so when I realised, and I'd done my dreams, goals and values, I realised I could continue what I thought I'd left behind with my wellness business. So I've re-established it because I can see a very big need in the world, and I'm in a place in my life where I've got the time to devote to this project. So for me, it's very personal, because it's my passion, and it's a vision I had before, but it's grown even bigger now. So I want to build my business so I can have I'll probably franchise it or something along those lines, where I've got a model to sell to somebody, and then I build this legacy that people can continue with proactive and preventative health, and pushing that concept throughout the world. And that's my vision as well.
That is excellent. And for those that are watching the video after, if you know any philanthropists or people that could basically help Kristine out, reach out and talk to her. It's a great dream to help a lot of other people besides just yourself. Thanks, Kristine. Donna,
Thanks, John.
how about you?
I think the biggest thing for me at the moment is to go from being very local, so having local impact, to having global impact. To take my message to the national and then the international stage, because what I'm talking about is really good, and I'd like really to see how, from an educational point of view, we've done a lot of work in Uganda in the past, that I can do something to do with education. I'd love to be able to save up enough to go over and help with that sort of thing as well. But that's the biggest thing that would help me, is to make contacts with people around the world who can refer people who want to incorporate dark sky tourism, because it doesn't, just because I'm in the middle of Australia, the message is the same everywhere. And so I'm looking for people who can help me, like, improve my visibility like with podcasts and all that sort of stuff. But mainly just sharing my posts and know me. Thank you.
Excellent. Have you got your contact information in the chat, Donna?
I was thinking that she could get in touch with this place in Slovenia that Alan was talking about, because it's got dark skies, and
Yes.
she could run her her astronomy tours there,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go, Donna. Reach out to Alan and Kristine, and they can help you get that set up in some way.
Yeah, I'll get someone to send me the because I'm on my phone and my hand's shaking too much to type. So
And I'm in wellness too, and you said that they're setting up a wellness place there, and we could
Yes.
run
Yeah.
some we could run some events there, and get people to go for some kind of coaching, wellness improvement,
Yeah. Good idea. Yeah. I put the details
seminars.
in the chat.
Yeah, I think we should all get together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry to organise that, but I couldn't help
and
myself.
And that's a great idea, because, this is all what your mastermind is about, is getting together, taking one idea. When you throw it out, when you get a bunch of other minds involved in it, it's not just 2 or 3 people. That really grows substantially. Alan,
The possibilities
what about
grow.
you? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a really good theme, John. On your point about value, what my number one priority is to actually get our message out to people on a wider basis, as Donna was saying, get more known nationally and internationally, and it's certainly possible these days, because the world is relatively small place with the communications that we've got. So we've got an Alpus unique branded solution for investment and development of property. So that's what we're promoting at the moment. We had an in-person event that we presented to in Portsmouth in England recently, and there's another Circle of Fame event in November, which I believe Kristine is certainly going to consider speaking at, if you're not already booked up. So it just shows that you can have people in the room in one country, and you can have people online from the other side of the world, and they can all communicate. So for me, it's about getting our message out there, and I'm working with Anna Lipchiva, who's frequently on this call. She sends her apologies for today, and we're getting our message out there through webinars that we're holding twice weekly. But I also love to collaborate as well. So I'll be in touch with Donna about the dark skies, the astronomy, and also with Kristine about the wellness in Slovenia as well.
Cool.
So what would be the
Excellent.
one thing that would change everything for you, Alan?
It's getting the message out. It's that one-to-many communication of our message. We've got the solution, which Louise and Anna and I presented on the 9th of August, and we now need to communicate that to a lot more people.
Excellent.
And that does provide value for people, and an ethical way of investing in property for the long term, creating wealth and passive income as well.
And there's a great thing, like, for the people that are watching, because like we say, you don't know who Alan knows and vice versa. So if you know anybody that can help them out, or would be interested in learning more about this great castle and the other great investments they're doing, reach out to Alan. Go for it. Thank you, Alan. Tina?
Yeah, I'll just mention one more thing just very quickly. As you say, you don't know who is around who can add value. And we're working with Nick Scott, who you introduced us to, about energy efficiency. Now, this is applicable worldwide, and we're rolling that message out as well. We had one preliminary meeting in London as a result of your introduction, but if you've got something of value, then word spreads, and you can be of service to people anywhere in the world.
Excellent. The one thing that you may want to connect with, Alan, is you and Kristine get together about energy for her project in Uganda.
I was going to speak to Kristine because I know someone who's actually running a charity in Uganda, and I'll put you in touch with her. I'm sure there'll be some synergy there. It's
Awesome.
Francine Herzig, and she's based in the Netherlands. So I'll put you in touch with her.
Awesome.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, Alan. Good idea. Great.
Tina, what about you? What's your
So-
number one priority, and what one thing will change everything for you?
Before I start saying whatever I'm going to say, I want to address Kristine's stuff. I'm glad that you said that. I didn't realize I wasn't friends with her on LinkedIn, so I just had to go and friend her now. And
Oh, I didn't realize either.
Well, with you, I think I am, but with Lori Landon, I'm not. So Lori is doing kind of what you're saying that you want to do. And so I think you guys getting together would be a great help to you and probably to her too. Great minds think alike. So I will, as soon as she accepts my friendship on LinkedIn, then I will make sure I connect you with Lori Landon. So just being able to say all of this here, what
Lori
we're
Landon.
looking for and where we're headed makes everybody go, oh, I've got information that can help. So that's why we say what we say when we're on the masterminds and other calls. So what my number one priority and what would change things for me? Well, my priority and what would change things are probably a little bit different. So my number one priority is to build up my business, right? I've got a big goal that's set and I'm working towards that. But what would change things for me is finding those clients, because my clients, unlike the majority of people where you can just put a post out on Facebook, LinkedIn, or wherever you're at, and they can see you. My clients are not really out there. They're in abusive situations, and so they're not out there as easily. So they're on the internet late at night and searching for help. I have discovered recently, accidentally, on TikTok, that some of my clients are there. Those are the ones that are on late at night, 2 o'clock in the morning, searching for divorce information because their abuser is laying next to them asleep. So I have found that I've ended up with a ton of new followers because of some stuff I put out there. And then I put out another call to action just yesterday, and I ended up with 2 prospects just right away after I put that call to action. And those TikToks for me are out there now. They'll be just as if they're brand new for about 5 days. And so during that 5 days, the rest of these people start seeing them. So that's my number one, the thing that would change everything is finding those clients.
You just brought up a very valid point, Tina. And the one thing is the call to action, because there's so many people that put posts and information up there with no call to action, and they can't figure out why they don't get anything. So kudos to you for finding that TikTok is a good base for you for finding new prospects. And the other good part is your call to action. Again, ladies and gentlemen that are listening to this, make sure you have your call to action, in everything you do. Because if you just leave it out there hanging, people aren't going to respond to you. They have to have a reason to call you. So that's good for you. Gillies, what about you?
Can I just say something with Tina's thing
Sure,
before
Tina.
we go?
Kristine?
Because your customer, it can be hard to find, because if they're in an abusive relationship, they're not going to be game to go online or do anything that's going to upset their partner. So they're kind of a prisoner. So you then need to find a friend of that person if they have a friend, because usually those kind of controlling people isolate them from friends and family. Although, yeah, family members would be concerned about that person because they might know something's going on. But yeah, it's just your client could be hard to find or access.
Mm-hmm. And it's just about getting out there in the right places. And accidentally, I found that TikTok, which I knew they were, but I couldn't reach them. And all of a sudden, either a change in algorithm or something happened. And now they're seeing me. So thank you.
Well, that's awesome. That's really good.
Mhm.
So thank you, John.
Excellent. Keep up the good work, Tina. And
Thanks.
Kristine, you've got very valid points as well. Thank you for putting them in there. Vangelis?
I had someone ask me a couple of weeks ago, she was looking for some perspectives, I guess, on, we had met each other back in 2014 at a seminar, and it was where I had learned, and John, you alluded to this earlier, where I really was not making any decisions for myself because the way I was brought up was in a very restrictive, dictator type environment where everything, the joke of, if I want your opinion, I'll give it to you. It really wasn't a joke in my life. It's the way it was. So my decisions really weren't mine. And you held the phrase, are you doing what's in alignment with you? Well, not at all. And if you define integrity, are you actually living your life? I had no integrity at all because I wasn't living me. I was living everyone else. So my number one priority was to be true to myself. And that's really what I've been working on all these years, is just removing everything that is not me. And it has been a game changer for me because, when you're not doing something you really want to do, and think of the simplicity of, hey, let's go here. Well, I don't really want to go, but you go anyway. I don't really want to do that, but you do it anyway. I do want to do this, but you don't because people don't let you. Those are the simple things in life that you don't realize cause a lot of stress and frustration. And so once I started learning and discovering me, because I had done a lot of clearing work on, I realized that most of my beliefs were not mine. They were the beliefs that were programmed into me. And being honest with myself was difficult because I had to think, do I really even think this? Is this my thought? No, it's not. So once I started, I got some help from several mentors that helped me to really get in touch with my soul, with me. And once I started doing that, I would wake up in the morning and I would hear what I'm going to be doing that day. So I was starting to live more by inspiration and not by dictation. And so now it's a whole total different view of my life. So being true to myself means I'm actually doing what I want to do. I'm not in that cage, in that in Spanish they call it a jaula. It's a cage, a prison that we put ourselves in, not knowing we do. And then now I get myself free. And so it has been a game changer for me because now I can see things that I didn't see before. And what's happening is other people now are asking me, like the lady last week, so after you did all this clearing of all the beliefs that are not you, how come I still feel stuck? I said, oh, that's because I didn't know myself. I mean, it's like cleaning your house and not putting anything in it. So now I'm starting to hear myself. So that's my number one priority.
Okay. So what would be the one thing for you that would change everything?
Well, that has been the game changer. Because see, when you don't realize that you're not making your decisions, you don't even know you're not. I mean, think about all the, like Tina's people, did you really make that decision to be with that person? Well, I think so. I mean, there's so many things we do out of culture. We're so conditioned to live a certain way of life. And I was reading a book on the brain, the physiology of the brain, and what they were saying is the part of the brain where you are able to reason and analyze does not even get developed until you're 8 years old. What does that mean? That means that you don't have physiologically the brain to even say, well, let me think about that, what you just said to me, until you're 8 or 9 years old. Which means anything that anyone says to you just goes in unfiltered. So you don't even know that you're not making your decisions. And if that's the way you grew up your entire life, you don't realize that you're not even making your own decisions. I mean, if you just put that in perspective, right? So now I'm 50 years old and I realize I haven't made any decisions of myself. That is a game changer. Now I'm making my decisions. I go, where I want to go. I wake up when I wake up. I eat when I'm hungry. I sleep when I'm tired, and I work when I'm inspired. And I'm finding out a lot of people are realizing they are not making their own decisions in their life.
Yeah. That's a very valid point that you bring up about a lot of people. And, we hear about people that are yes people. Well, when you stop and think about the way that you've faced it, what do we learn as kids? What's the one word we hear the most growing up, especially when it starts, is no. Don't touch, don't do this, don't do that. It's not a positive reinforcement. The people that are telling us that think it's positive, but all it is a lot of negative reinforcement. So as we grow up, it's no, no, no. And then when you go to school, it's, well, you can't fail. If you fail, you're bad and everything else. But yet when you get out into the business world, if you don't learn to fail, you're not going to succeed. So for our formative growing years, we're told it's negative, you can't fail and all the rest of it. And then you get out in the business world and everything changes. It's like you were saying, you weren't making any of your own decisions. Your parents, you were in a very restricted area. They told you basically what to think and say and do. And when you think of it, how many of us really grew up that way? Maybe our parents weren't as.
It is subtle.
It's subtle because, like, for example, I'm 16 years old. I got my license. My mom's in the passenger. We're at an intersection. And I said, okay, where do you want me to go? You can go anywhere you want to, but go straight ahead. Was there an option in that? But that's the subtlety of it. Do whatever you want to do, but do this.
But your upbringing actually gives you a pattern of thinking. It forms your pattern of thinking.
Exactly, Kristine. And what happens is, people are going, well, can a robot be aware? How many humans are aware? I wasn't aware. I didn't have consciousness of me. I was a robot. Do this, do this, do this, and you're going to like it. I'd like to play music. That's not a career. Okay. Then what is a career? Something I don't really want to do. Okay, but that's because you guys are adults and you should know better. I mean, your curiosity gets squelched as you're growing up. Pay attention. Quit daydreaming. I mean, so much stuff happens and you don't even know it because you don't have anyone around you saying, what would you like to do? Oh my gosh, exactly. You don't know because you've never been allowed to think for yourself. So those are those things. And exactly, Kristine, you don't even know it. This is what I mean. When I ask people, are you living your life? Well, yeah, I'm living my life. Okay, let's back up. And then I start giving them my examples of my life. And they say, oh my gosh, maybe I'm not. And then you get to I really am not. So
And
it's
then-
that awareness.
Then you cannot think outside that pattern because you're stuck in it. You can only think
Yes.
in that pattern until
Exactly.
somebody helps you to think outside of it.
Exactly. Exactly. And that took see that was a scary
Time.
thing because you're disoriented now because you've never lived like that. And so everything in your life, then you start thinking, I never wanted to even buy this house. I didn't even want to have this job. I didn't even want to be in this relationship. Well, why'd you do it? Because that's how I was raised. And so now you start, and then to start, it's like a ship that now has to change. It takes time.
Mhm.
Based on our resistance, it takes time to make that shift. Unfortunately, there's now a lot of people like all of you that are now available that were not available that easily before, that now can be a listening ear and say, okay, let me hear what's going on, and then provide some mentoring and some assistance.
Yeah, and going
You
through
just-
what you said with you're going through your conditioning, but that's dredging up emotions, memories, a whole lot of stuff, and that's not easy for people to face. It's hard to work through, but it is worth it when you do it.
Yes. And when you finally get on the other side, I mean, it's like, my gosh, this is so amazing. And you feel this is the peace that surpasses all understanding. I mean,
And
it's
freedom.
just so great. Yes. Yeah. And you start realizing, gosh, this is actually fun now. I'm actually, when people would say, are you happy? I said, well, what does that mean? Oh, are you living the way you want to live? Then I guess I'm not happy at all. Zero.
It's very sad, actually. I'm laughing, but because it's kind of funny, but it's not funny. It's an insidious thing that creeps up on you and shapes you how somebody else wants you, not how that person should be.
Well, when you watch, like right now, there's my partner, she's got two grandchildren. They're like 2 and 3. And you start watching, how people treat them.
Okay.
And you start thinking,
Good.
they're so moldable, and everything
Okay.
you say, everything you do is all imitated. You're creating this pattern, and a lot of times, it'll be raining and they go, don't go in the rain. Let them go in the rain and let them play. Let them do what they want to do a little bit, because coming from my perspective, I mean, my dog died when I was 9 and my mom said, stop crying. Now, you don't think that affects you, but I shut my feelings off. Oh, I'm not allowed to express myself or feel? No. Okay. All right. No feeling.
Well, you brought up an interesting point. I was thinking back of basically being told how to think. When I was in the military, I got to the first base I was stationed at, and the warrant officers gave me a tour, and he said, I really like people with a strong back and a weak mind. I was always a mouthy little sucker anyways. So I looked at him and said, you got me wrong. I got a strong mind and a weak back. And this warrant officer just turned around and glared at me like, screw you, pal. If I don't agree with your orders, I'm going to say something. You're a lowly private. You can't say anything. Yes, I can. And, it got me in some trouble and what have you. But the other thing it did was a lot of these people realized that I just wasn't one of their yes or no sir people. If I had a challenge with one of their orders, I would ask them. And for some of them, especially the lower ranks, had a real problem. I'm a corporal, I'm a sergeant, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, right. So stick it in your ear. And one of the ones, I had a boil develop on my wrist, and it really swelled up my hand, looked like one of those surgical gloves you blow up and all that. And the military doctors wouldn't look at it. So I went to a hospital. They sent the military police down to bring me back to the base. And I get escorted in to see this doctor. And the sergeant that escorted me in said, "Private, you will respect this doctor and you will do what he said. If you don't respect him, you're going to go to jail." And I was with the military police. So I looked at him and the doctor said, gave me his little prognosis. I looked at him and I said, "Sir, you're nothing but an effing a-hole, sir." Turned to the sergeant and I said, "Is that respectful enough?" The sergeant couldn't say a word because I used "sir" at the beginning and at the end. And the following day, I'm in the hospital. The base commander comes in to see me. And he said, "Private, I understand you had challenges with one of our doctors." I said, "Yes, sir. He's nothing but an F and a-hole, sir." He said, "That's what he told me you said." He said, "What's the problem?" He doesn't know his ass from a hole in the ground. And they brought in another doctor. But here I was standing up, Did I realize that, I was being disrespectful? I used the "sir" and everything else. But to your point, Vangelis, I didn't go along with exactly what I was told to do. I didn't believe it was right. I was a young 18-year-old kid, and screw this for a game of cowboys. I'm not playing by your rules. And like you had to learn to stop playing by everybody else's rules. That's one thing we all need to do.
And you said respect. So it's all now reversed for me now. I was faithful to everybody else but me. I was rebellious to me and not to anyone else. I respected everyone except me. It's all now me. The only one I respect is me. The only one I trust is me. And the only one I'm honest with is me. And the only one I'm faithful to is me. And I'm telling you, it is a game changer too. Because see, if I respect myself and I trust just me, I'm trusting my ability to be able to judge character. Because if I'm trusting you, that doesn't really work because I don't know you. But if I trust myself, do I trust my instincts? Do I trust my intuition? That was also a game changer because now it's just all about me. I trust me. I respect me. And so you respected yourself, John. And look at what happened. See, if you would have respected the doctor, just like all of us were conditioned.
You would
Respect
lose
your-
respect for yourself. And that's
Yes.
where a lot of people are very unhappy and they don't
Mhm.
like themselves and they're not good in relationships because they first haven't got to know themselves and respect them like themselves. Right? They're angry with themselves. They don't probably understand why they are, but the reason
Exactly.
is because they don't really know themselves. They don't respect themselves. And if they don't do that, they don't respect others. And so you can't have a decent relationship.
Yeah,
if
you
don't
can't have a
one with
relationship with yourself.
Mhm.
If you don't have a relationship with yourself and don't know how to treat yourself, how do you know how to treat anyone
Others.
else?
Exactly.
And again, that comes from when we're growing up. Like you said, Vangelis, you don't even know how to reason because as little kids, don't do this, don't do that, do what your parents tell you, do what your elders tell you. And that's how you're conditioned. And for a lot of people, the majority of the people, that carries on into your adult life.
Yeah, when I reached 20 years old, I realized I didn't know much. And then when I got to 30, I realized I know less and less. And then when I reached 40, I realized, God, I know even less. And then when I reached 50, even less. And when I reached 60, God, I'm just learning. Like it's because there's so much out there. And I just, I get, the humbleness and realize, when I read a book, I realize, oh, gosh, I just don't know much.
And that to me is part of growing up and maturing because you realize what you don't know. And as we're younger, everything and our parents are dumb or a bag of hammers and what have you. So, and then all of a sudden we realize that, geez, they're really smart. They haven't changed. We did. And as we grow through life and start realizing that it's up to us to become who we are, that a lot of people start the self-discovery that you've gone through and all of us have gone through. So good for you for going through it.
And Tina with her stuff, I mean, there's a lot of layers to unpack with all the people that she meets with, because they don't even know themselves. So how do they know what they want?
Well, they're confused. Yeah.
To even get to talking to the person, you've got to go through so many layers and filters of stuff.
But Tina, you went through your own stuff, didn't you?
Yes, I've been through my stuff. I went through my late husband's stuff. I've been through lots of that, my father's stuff. So that's how come I'm able, and I can tell you, moving on, and I know we're like out of time here, but moving on, the only way to move forward, like Vangelis says, is we got to take care of our stuff. We got to do our work.
And thanks, Tina. And as you said, we're out of time here. So,
That
anybody
went
with any
quickly.
any last thoughts before we wrap it up here?
That was a good session, really.
Well, thank you for everybody for coming, and look forward to seeing everybody next week. And, for the connections that were made today, make sure everybody reaches out. And thank you, Peter, for putting this together. And we'll talk to everybody next week. Bye for now.
Bye.